What is up, Riftbounders? So I just got back from my long China trip where I tried to get as many Spirit Forged games in person in as possible. And as you can probably tell, I encountered some pretty interesting situations while playing at various city challenges. So this time when I went, I actually went to 3 city challenges total. I really only played in one out of the three, despite arriving at each one and actually getting through the wait list. So the first city challenge I went to, this was the one in Beijing. This was one on December 21st, I believe. There's a store, and as you can see in this image over here, they had a crap ton of Spirit Forge product. So it looks like China's living it good with their Spirit Forge allocation, unlike the United States and a lot of other Western countries. And yeah, so this one was, I believe, it was actually a pretty small city challenge. They only had 64 people that could play at a time in their store. And I believe on the wait list, there were at least there were over 100 something people registered. So like double the amount of people who actually wanted to play. But I think I got waitlists, or like I wasn't able to get selected via the initial lottery. So I went to the store myself, and they did do like a waitlist sort of thing where you could put your name on the waitlist, and then they'll select people and let you sign up for the tournament. And this was kind of, I was kind of unfamiliar with this process. I remember putting my name down. I believe the place got super busy, and then they started shouting out numbers for people who won the waitlist lottery. And I believe I was like number like 14 or something, and I got selected. So I was like, "Woo, let's go, let's go!" I went up to the front desk. They gave me like a code to scan, and what I didn't know, which I feel like I should have known this, is that once you register up with their code, you need to give them your own QR code for them to check you in. And because I think I remember asking the guy at the front desk, say, "Hey, do you need to scan my code?" And he's like, "Not yet." So he told me to go wait in the area. I waited in the area, and this was like I came like pretty early. I came like an hour and a half before the event started, and then when I managed to get in through the wait list, which was about 30 minutes before the event starts, I went down to sit, and apparently within that 30 minutes, they started shouting out people on the wait list to check in, but I think I just didn't hear them say that. And I remember even talking to some of the judges being like, "Hey, am I supposed to check in?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're supposed to check in with the front desk." But then I thought, "Oh, the front desk told me to wait, so I'll just wait here for a bit." And then next thing I know, I waited like half an hour, and the tournament started. And I look at my app, and it's like, you missed it." So I went down, I went up to the TO, and I explained the situation, and they basically said, "Yeah, we can't do anything because pairings are up." And I assume somebody else might have taken my spot because I missed the check-in. So this was actually super depressing. I was so excited to play in like a more competitive event, even though it is still best of one. I think I only did like one Nexus night before this, so I was super bummed out that I missed the first city challenge I could have joined. But to be honest, the city challenges are just like skirmishes, and we got plenty of those in the West here. So in the end, it didn't really mean anything. And yeah, so I took a few pictures of the store. There was like, they had like this huge like poster thing for the Spirit Forged city challenges. And basically you can see that if you win, you get a cool Yone mat, and you get some promo cards. They're just like regular equipments with like a little special stamp. So nothing too special. But I really wanted to play that day, and get my volley deck registered into the system. It is what it is, though. So we did miss out on this city challenge, and I took another photo when I was waiting. Yeah, this place got very busy really fast, and it was on me. I should have double checked with the front desk to make sure that I checked in, but I missed that completely. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then funny enough, after I missed the check-in, I went to another Nexus night nearby, and I think I got completely destroyed because I lost the first game, and then I paired into like a Victor deck, and I got smashed by that. It was like a new player on a starter deck. So, but I did get a Spirit Forged Nexus Knight pack, and it came with a, what is it called? A Annie Tibber's signature. So yeah, the Nexus Knight packs, they're coming with the Proving Ground. So make sure if you're missing any Proving Grounds cards, you can get them through Nexus Knights, at least for next set. That's basically the summary of my first City Challenge experience. Luckily for me, I did get to go to a second City Challenge. This time I was in the city of Chonqing, and basically I think the TCG scene isn't as big here. I remember talking to one store owner, and they said that most of the people in the city play Yu-Gi-Oh! And the last 10% is like the other card games. So Riftbound isn't as big in the city, which was kind of good because I was able to get into the city challenge without having to waitlist. I think they had a total of like, I believe there were about 24 slots or something, and we only filled up like 98 people. So there were a lot of people here, but they actually could have had more. And then I guess the week that I was here specifically, this was the December 27th, and there weren't, I think the week before they had a city challenge, and that was actually filled out. But luckily for me, I got in through this one, and this city challenge I actually did pretty well. So here is the Volibear deck that somehow got uploaded on a website called Riftdex, and the reason I'm pulling it up here and not on Pillar of Archive is because I've updated my list and I don't actually remember what I submitted. I think I can pull it up through the WeChat mini program, but this is my Volibear list that I played in the Chongqing City Challenge. I believe my ranking at the end was, I got 21st, and my score was 4-1. So I won 4 games, I lost 2, and I tied in 1 game. And I don't know why it uses the alt art runes. I was just using the regular runes. And this is like pretty similar to the list I had for Houston. You'll notice that the only real Spirit Forged edition here is the Sudden Storm. So it's not really a set 2 list. It's more of a set 1 list with a 3 extra like damage cards. But yeah, no, this city challenge was pretty interesting. In terms of my matchups, I have them pulled up over here. My first game, I went up against a Jax, and my Jax opponent actually made it basically near the end, just like me. My Jax opponent got 20th place, and he was a pretty chill guy. I lost the coin flip, and I think this game I just didn't hit Aurora the whole time, and because I didn't hit Aurora, I was basically running off of like 1 or 2 units and just like trying to stay alive with all the spells. But I lost this game. It was pretty narrow loss, but you know, it's best of 1, so there's not much you could do about it. My game 2, I went up against a Draven. I lost the coin flip in this one, but I got Aurora on turn 4. And I believe at this point I was hearing about how Draven was a bit of a menace, but Draven really didn't get to play the game because I just played Aurora. I just stacked my base full of big guys. And then once I send them in, like, I mean, Draven can't really do much. You can really only fight or flight, rebuke so many units. So that was a pretty solid win for me. Game 3, I went up against an Azir. This one was actually a very narrow win for me as well because there was this one time where I flipped a Sudden Storm by accident, thinking that I could potentially use it on another battlefield. But I wanted to ask the judge about that. And this judge call actually screwed me over because I flipped the Sudden Storm that was hidden. The judge was like, oh, you have to use it. So I basically used it on my own dude and wasted the spell. But honestly, that's on me. I should have known that hidden cards can only be used on your own battlefield. It's mainly just because I haven't been really playing any decks that use hidden cards. So yes, I narrowly lost this one because in the end, it actually came down to like this huge push by my Azir opponent where they would send in 1 Sand Soldier with like 50 equipment trying to whittle down one of my big fields one by one. Lucky for me though, I actually won. And near the end, I actually almost lost because I used my volley signature spell, the Stormbringer, on a battlefield where my opponent had like 50 units. And they used that Azir spell that pulls back all their Sand Soldiers. And I was like, wait a minute. I did not play around that. I didn't even know that card existed. So I didn't really do any research on Spearforge before joining this tournament. So I got punished by that. But in the end, I still won because Aurora, once you get it rolling, it is very hard for a deck like Azir, even though they are yellow, to deal with. Obviously, I think if they were Victor, it would be a lot easier. But Azir doesn't usually run as many hard removals as Victor does. So game three, I won versus Azir. So I'm like 2-1 right now. I was feeling pretty confident. And then game four, I went up against a Master Yi. I lost the coin flip, and I also didn't hit Aurora this game. I think I had one turn where I missequenced, and my opponent, they 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 were playing a mid range E, and they had Trinity Force, and they missed a point off of the Trinity Force hold trigger, and I was just being nice, so I let them have it. But I think that actually just cost me the game because they basically narrowly won with that 1 point. So another time where I got punished for letting my opponent take back a trigger, but it's whatever. Game four, I lost against Yi, so I'm 2-2. I think at this point I'm like almost like eliminated because there's no way my tiebreakers would be that good. But it's funny because my Yi opponent actually did make it to the top 16, and my Jax opponent also made it to like top 20. So I think if I just kept on winning, I actually had a good chance of making top 16 at least, or maybe top 8. I don't know. And then game five, I went up against another mid-range Yi. This time I didn't have Aurora, but my Yi opponent kind of bricked early. They kind of didn't really have any early game drops. So I just outvalued him with my big boys. So after game five, after beating this mid-range Yi, I was 3-2. Game six, I went up against an Ezreal. And to be honest, I've never played against Ezreal before this, but I had Mobilize into Catalyst into Aurora. And then I don't think there's anything Ezreal can do from that position. They do have a lot of purple tricks, but once you get Aurora on turn 3, like, I don't think you can have enough tricks to beat this deck. So yeah, game 6, I won that. I was 4-2. So if I won my last game and my tiebreakers were good, which they technically, I think they could have been good because my opponents made it pretty far. I actually could have made top 8 here. I went up against a Kaisa, my first Kaisa this whole tournament, and I was looking forward to playing against Kaisa because, I should be slightly favored into it. And unfortunately for me, we tied, which is basically a double loss. I think what happened this game was I didn't hit Aurora until like very late in the game, maybe like turn 8, 9 or something. And then we basically tied on points at the very end. We did go into overtime, and to be honest, I wasn't keeping track of who was turn 0, but my opponent basically insisted that, I was turn 0 like like a while back because I guess it's favorable for my opponent, and I didn't really want to argue, so I just accepted it. And then unfortunately, it did mean that we both got a double loss. To be honest, if I was in my opponent's shoes and I was playing against a rogue deck, I would have just given up the win, But I understand. I understand that my opponent did want the tie to get a better score, so that's fair to them. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I did not make the top 8 with this deck. But it was a good run overall. I'd say going 4-2-1 is still pretty good, especially with a set 1 deck in a set 2 meta, and with everyone having gear removal. Obviously, I don't think volley is like super competitive, but I did have a lot of fun with it. That's for sure. So this was basically my Chonqing City Challenge experience. Immediately after my Chongqing City Challenge, the day after, I flew to Guangzhou because they also had another city challenge there, and I was also planning to go there anyway. I actually paid for a more expensive flight just so I can attempt to make the city challenge. Unfortunately, I did waitlist. Like I did not make the lottery, but because I got there and I waitlisted, I was kind of rewarded because I got selected through the waitlist, which was great. I think for this city challenge, it was like 128 players as well. They had, as you can see, they kind of rented out this whole space for the actual games. They had a total of like 200 something people sign up. So I assumed there would be a lot of people on the waitlist, and there actually were. I think there were at least like 50 something players on the waitlist, and they took about a bit less than half of it. So I did get lucky getting selected through the waitlist here. And unfortunately for me, I got hit by horrible luck right in the first of my games. Before I talk about how poorly the games went, this is like the sort of venue that they booked out. It's like within this like underground mall, and the players filled up really fast. Like I eventually like the place got super packed, and people were just waiting around trying to see if they can get in through the wait list. People were like coming in from like adjacent cities and whatnot because I guess transportation is kind of cheap. What exactly happened in this tournament? So game one, I played against an Irelia player. I didn't hit Aurora. That's fine. I narrowly lost because I did some weird misplays and also didn't really know how to play against Irelia. So I lost that one. But at the end of the game, my opponent asked me if my deck was legal because I had English battlefields. And unfortunately for me, I made the assumption that because the global rules for Riftbound say that you can mix like languages between like different separate decks, that it would also apply to the Chinese rules. But that is not the case because I think my opponent just like asked the judge like out of curiosity. I don't think they were trying to they were trying to shark me because they did it at the end. They were just kind of curious if you are allowed to do that. And then the judge came, and then the judge was like, I don't think you can. So I got a little worried, and I was right to be worried because as soon as I think the judges had a little discussion, and then in my next game when I sat down with my opponent, they deck checked us. So I was like, okay, I get it. You deck check because you might be worried I have like English cards in my Chinese deck that are like within the actual main deck, but that's not true because I think like the judges actually pulled up the Chinese ruling, at least the most recently updated one, and I thought it was like a new update, but apparently it was always there. In the Chinese rules, it says that your entire deck must be the same language, including all like the little small decks like battlefields, runes. And unfortunately for me, I had English runes, I had English battlefields. So basically, the judges were saying that, yep, because you have this, that is a game loss. And it's kind of funny because my opponent, because I got deck checked, my opponent also got deck checked. My opponent was saying how he might have made a mistake on the subway on the way here with his deck. And then and my opponent also got a game loss because apparently my opponent's deck didn't match whatever they submitted, which is kind of funny because we both just lost before even getting to play the game. I don't think my opponent was super upset though. He was a chill guy, and I think he came to visit some friends, and he was kind of hungry, so he was like, "I'm kind of happy to get eliminated so he can get food." But I was pretty like shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, I just lost the whole game because my battlefields and my runes were the wrong language. Like that doesn't make any sense." And the judges were saying that if I don't get them replaced, I can keep playing, but I have to like give myself a loss for every game after that. So luckily for me, there was a store owner that was there. I believe that was probably the store owner that hosted this. He said, come to my store, I'll get you the replacement. So I went over, I got the replacements within a few minutes, and I replaced everything with Chinese cards. So technically we could have still played out the game, but because we got issued the double loss, we just kind of just sat there. I sat there, and then my opponent just went out to get food. So I was at this point I'm 0-2. I'm basically eliminated because I lost the first two. And then I went up against my third opponent who was playing Kaisa. And I think I bricked pretty hard in that game too. Didn't hit Aurora. I was basically playing with one unit, my volley bear chosen champion the whole time. So that was a rough game. And I did lose that one as well. I was also kind of tilted because I basically lost the game for free out of nowhere. And I'm surprised that nobody has brought this up because I did do quite a few Nexus nights. I did do another city challenge, and the judges were there looking at my cards. They knew I had English cards, and they didn't call it out. Maybe they didn't know about that ruling, but yeah. So this city challenge was a complete flop because I just went 0-3, and then the store owner came back. I think he was like hosting like a box tournament, and he wanted more players, so he just poached all of us at the bottom tables. So I basically just ended up dropping this one. So yeah, that was my experience at my third city challenge. It was an experience, I gotta say. You know, like 2 city challenges. I didn't really get to play them, and then one I did okay, which is good. You know, we gotta look at the bright side of things. I did get to play and do well in one city challenge. But yeah, no, it was kind of disappointing because I was like, oh man, I finally got into the city challenge. It's a big one. And yeah, and I just basically didn't even play. I mean, I did play, but I don't think I played that well. And I also kind of got screwed over by um, my deck bricking. So yeah. Overall, I think it was fun. I wouldn't really go to China just to play in city challenges in the future because I think they're just skirmishes, but less competitive because it's of the best of one format. So I think I'd actually prefer playing in like the skirmishes here in the US. And yeah, that's basically it for this update. I just really wanted to share my experience with the city challenges, how I got a game loss over having English battlefields. Crazy. I was so shocked because I was talking to the judges. It's like, but I was at Houston, and like the ruling at Houston was this and this and this, and they're just like, yeah, we get it. We get it, but unfortunately in China the rules are different, which makes zero sense. Why is it different in China? Like, shouldn't the rules be consistent? I think the judges seemed a little relieved that I took it well, I guess, as well as I could have, because I was just like, okay, I understand. Well, I'll take the game loss and try to play another game if possible. I guess the judges didn't want another case of the situation where a guy threw a chair. I think for next set, I really do want to play Volibear, but I really want to test out like a mid range version instead of Aurora, because Aurora feels like too low agency sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see. I do need to get a buy somehow at like some of these local skirmishes. So maybe it's back to playing Kaisa until set two. That's gonna be it for this update. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as usual, thank you for watching.